As Americans, we can accept that the rest of the world calls soccer football, yet we refuse to call it football. Why? Because we can. We call the baseball championship the World Series, even though it's just American teams. Why? Because we can. We use the metric system instead of the imperial system. Why? Because we can. Yet it's hard for us to understand the fact that if we look at the definition of democracy, urban republicanism, we can see some misalignment with what the United States is. Why? Because our founding fathers said, fuck tradition. Absolute republicanism leads to tyranny, and absolute democracy leads to anarchy. So we're going to have a balance, which means that you can look at a definition of democracy and not see the United States in it. Why? Because we can. Similarly, you can look at definition of libertarianism and see something that makes sense, but the question is, how is it actually practiced here in the United States? And that's practiced not as individual, but as corporations. But the free will of individuals comes to this. You have the free will to succeed, but you also have the free will to fail. If you fail, there should be no safety nets in order to help you prosper. Why? Because it was your decision to fail. That is the bulk of it. But it's not the decision of corporations to fail. That's why we obviously bailed banks out in 2008, even though it was actually their decision to fail because they did risky businesses and that cost Americans their savings and homes. But who was bailed out? Not Americans, corporations. Corporate welfare is good for libertarians, but not social welfare. Priorities. People show you who they are, you listen. You listen. It doesn't matter what the definition is. Even communism. I won't go into communism because we're not communists. We're not compatible with that under the United States Constitution. But it is a political theory. Just like any other theory, it can be practiced in alignment, but mostly it's practiced in misalignment. That doesn't necessarily mean that theory itself is problematic, but it means it has been implemented in a problematic way, which means that libertarianism, conservative libertarianism in the United States, is being practiced in a way that scapegoats the people, that sacrifices the people for the maximum benefit of those who have, at the sacrifice of those who don't.